Hi, I'm Chuck Peruto, defense attorney in Philadelphia, and I'm running for district attorney. People ask me, Chuck, why would you run for DA? You got a great practice, you got a great life, and I'm going to answer that in the next few minutes. I have to run. I'm running because there's a vacancy in the Philadelphia district attorney's office. It's very simple. It's about public safety and lack thereof. Now, people are going to say, oh, that's just what we need is another defense attorney becoming DA. I'm a defense lawyer, not a civil rights lawyer, not somebody who spends their entire career suing the police and suing people over their civil rights. Do I think civil rights are important? Yes. Do I think public safety is more important? Yes. That's what this is all about. This election is not about abortion, which political party you're with, who you voted for in that election. It's about guns and bullets. Do you feel like you're as safe now as you were 4 years ago? 10 years ago? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking for your vote because what has happened in that office is a disgrace. And part of that disgrace is stupidity. This district attorney just doesn't get it. He doesn't realize what's causing 500 homicides in 1 year and multiple shootings that did not result in death. Paralyzed? Yeah. Death? No. Why do we have this escalation in gun violence? Anybody who doesn't think punishment is a deterrent to crime is dreaming. Punishment is a deterrent to crime. Now, let's talk about the death penalty. And by the way, this is from my website. So there's a button going to be above me or below me somewhere on this website. And you press that button and you can go to each issue. Because I want you to know where I stand on the issues. I'm not hiding in my basement or in my Eiffel Tower office. I'm going to come out and tell you where I stand on everything. And if you don't like it, you don't vote for me. With regard to the death penalty, when the chief law enforcement officer for the county of Philadelphia says, I will never, ever, under any circumstances, seek the death penalty, that guy is not fit for office. This is the job of the district attorney, not the public defender. This is not a public defender becoming district attorney. This is not somebody taking their philosophies from years of representing protest groups, etc. That's not me. I've represented bad guys and continue to represent bad guys until you elect me. But do I volunteer my services to go represent people involved in these protests where they damage public property, deface things that belong to you? No. Now, the death penalty, to say you'd never seek it? You've never seen the cases I've seen, where you have a drug dealer kidnap a rival drug dealer and start with his fingers, and they cut the fingers off, and they cut the feet off, and then they burn those parts, and over 3 days kill somebody, then put them in a steel drum, weld it up, and go dump it. That is so callous, so heinous, that it doesn't call for the same punishment as the other lifers in prison. It calls for death because that person is so depraved, so beyond rehabilitation, that you have to have the ultimate punishment. Now you might say, why waste the taxpayer's money? He's not going to be executed anyway. Well, if you've had that defeatist attitude, don't vote for me. Because let me tell you something. I know you've never visited anybody on death row, but just having them on death row for 20 years when they deserve it is significant punishment. So if people above me, if I'm DA, in the appellate courts, in the legislature, they want to fix the problems and say we need prison reform and court reform, we can't have the death penalty, that's on them. But I'm going to seek the death penalty in those cases. When you have a police officer minding his own business and somebody runs up on him and caps him in the head just because they're a police officer, with no provocation, just because it's civil unrest, they're protesting the police, I'm going to seek the death penalty. Because that police officer, he also has a family at home. He didn't deserve it. That is an unprovoked killing by a depraved individual, and I will ask the jury for a sentence of death. Now, why do we have all of these killings all of a sudden? Ladies and gentlemen, it's about drugs. Drugs and more drugs. Territory, drug dealers, it's all drug related. The smallest person using the drugs when he's not selling has to pay for those drugs. Can't get a job because he's on drugs. So what's he do? Well, he just helps himself into your apartment, into your house, and steals your personal belongings. Should that person be prosecuted? Yes. Yes, that's a burglary. Whose houses are being burglarized? Minority areas. I understand black people just about as well as a black person. I'm not going to say equal, but pretty good. Grew up in West Philly, and I'll get to that. The crimes in their own neighborhood are out of control. The policy of not snitching, not testifying has got to stop. People have to feel safe about testifying. They have to feel safe from their police. There has to be a new era of relationship with the police. And the police need work too. No question about that. Now, my plan calls for policing the areas with hotlines, code numbers. When you call, you have a code number. And if you have information to give, you can give it. In the most heinous cases, where shootings are involved, people paralyzed, no witnesses come forward. I don't like doing it, but you have to dangle a carrot over people's heads. You have to reward people who want to give information. Reward them. Encourage them to come to court, and then protect them. If they don't want to come to court because they don't want to pay $25 to park, you send a detective out, pick them up, bring them in, have them give their testimony before a grand jury so it can never be changed, and then bring them back. God forbid anyone who interferes with one of my witnesses, because I'm going to come down hard on people interfering with a witness's testimony, trying to bribe a witness to not come to court, or intimidating a witness to not come to court. That is a big problem in Philadelphia, which doesn't get any press at all. That's going to stop. The use of the grand jury. I want these people subpoenaed on different days to a grand jury to give information about what they know about these shootings, because it's about these shootings. They don't want to give the information, and the police know that they know. They're on video right there, and they're looking at the shooting. And they want to say they don't know. You give them immunity. If they lie, you charge them with perjury. Too bad. You're going to say, well, that's an innocent person. They didn't commit a crime. They're going to go to jail? Yes. Why? We have an epidemic of shootings. We have a problem. And problems take measures to resolve. This is a big problem. So we have to take big measures. That's what we got to do. We have to demand safety in our streets. We have to use the grand jury. We have to get these witnesses to court. And we have to punish anybody who interferes with them. If they do want to testify and give information, they've got to be protected. Now, let's discuss safe injection sites. You notice I'm not laughing. Not laughing because it's not funny. But the concept is a safe injection site. If I ever heard an oxymoron proposed by morons, it's a safe injection site. No safe injection sites. I don't want an area or a building or a playground where everybody can assemble and say, where'd you get your drugs? Oh, from Russ. Where'd you get your drugs? Oh, from Tom. What did you pay? I paid $4. Oh, I paid $6. His stuff's good. No, his stuff's not so good. Are you kidding me? Next, we have this zombie land building. Everybody running around, and the city's sponsoring zombie land. So doesn't that tell you it's okay to use drugs because even the city is aware that we have a problem? Yeah, we have a problem. Here's how you fix the problem. Tough love. I've heard, seen, read, and I know. We have 2 county prisons that are empty. We can't use those buildings for forced rehabilitation. Now you might say to me, well, Chuck, we all know that if you're forced to go through rehab, it's not going to work. No? You lock people up for crimes. You dangle a carrot over their head. You're going to go and you're going to detox. We're going to turn them into first-class detox facilities, not just for the rich. You're going to be guided. You're going to be fed. You're going to be watched. You're going to be detoxed carefully. Is there going to be some problems with this? Of course. That doesn't mean you do nothing. It doesn't mean you just ignore it. So, we get them detoxed. We keep them in there. You have educated counselors, which creates jobs, judge these people, counsel these people, and when they're ready to get out, you put them on a tight rope. Are we going to let them out early? It's not early or late. It's when they've earned it. It could be 5 months. It could be 2 years. But I want them to earn their way back into society so they're not robbing you and me. Get them on the street. Get them cleaned up and test them almost every day and then week and then month. They come back, it's going to be twice as long the next time. We have to keep our people sober. We, as taxpayers, can no longer afford to support them. We have to fix it. This might cost more money initially, but the end game is worth it. We've got to clean these people up. Now let's talk about the police. It's not all one-sided. Yes, I'm a law and order candidate, and that's why I switched parties as a Republican. I still have many Democratic thoughts that have nothing to do with the district attorney's office. But the police have got to wise up. And no one knows that better than the police. I talk to the cops every day in the hallways at the Justice Center or any county I drive to. They know they want to do the right thing. They got a partner who's a hothead. They have to police themselves. And they have to understand. It's a new day. It's a new day. You're not just going to go in and lie about what happened. Everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody's got a camera. You know you're going to get caught. So don't do it. No more breaking heads. It's a thing of the past. No more shooting unarmed people. If you shoot an unarmed people that's unprovoked, any unarmed people, anybody, you're going to get prosecuted. Cops are going to get upset with me for that. Then they get upset. If you break the law, you're going to get prosecuted. I expect you to not break the law. By the same token, if a cop is rushing to a scene and his adrenaline is pumping through his ears, and he tries to arrest a suspect who won't show their hands, and then they reach into a car, reach into their pants, are we expected to Monday morning quarterback his decision? Are we expected to second guess him? I'm not going to. Now, let's talk about our mayor. We don't have leadership right now. And that's a reason for the drug epidemic and for the homicides. This is the year 2021. Are you going to tell me we don't have the money to give every police officer a taser? Is that what you're going to tell me? Do you know why we don't? Because city council's spending it on garbage. Every cop should have a body camera to defend themselves as well as others, to show what happened. And we're going to have tasers. We just saw that shooting, which is a sin and a shame, where one officer is standing here, his partner's right here, and they both have their guns drawn because the guy's got a knife. They don't know what's in his head. They don't know at the time he's got mental problems. They're focused on him. Somebody else is screaming about him. They're not focused on the person screaming. They're focused on the victim, the deceased. He's deceased because he had a knife and wouldn't drop it. If they had tasers, and I've read, well, tasers don't really work. Don't give me that. Don't even go there. If one of those cops tased them, we might not have a case. If the cop tased him, he gets paralyzed, he goes down, you cuff him, and it's over. You can't have two cops shooting tasers because if they're so bad and so defective, one cop's got to keep his gun out because the guy's got a knife for their own safety. We didn't ask them to sign up for a suicide mission. So if one cop could train a gun on him and the other cop has a taser on him, shoot the taser. We're not here to kill our citizens. We're here to help them. These are basic flaws in our leadership. They are basic, and they have failed us. Let's talk about immigration. Well, you might say, Chuck, what does immigration have to do with the Philadelphia DA's office? Plenty. Mayor Kenney has given directives to the Philadelphia police that when they arrest an illegal alien, even for one of the big five, which I'll get to in a second, they are not to report them to ICE. This is a sanctuary city. Oh, I love that term. I just love it. Sanctuary city. Ladies and gentlemen, if an illegal alien commits one of the big five, rape, murder, arson, burglary, robbery, we're going to advise ICE so fast it'll make your head spin. Because the DA's office doesn't have to answer to the mayor. The mayor has to answer to the district attorney because we're the top law enforcement officer in this city. And if the mayor forbids or threatens dismissal of a cop who calls ICE, that is obstruction of justice because the federal law requires them to contact ICE. So if Mayor Kenney gives a directive to the contrary, he is obstructing justice. And if you don't think I'll lock him up in a second, you're nuts, because I will. That's going to stop. We have a system of government in Philadelphia which is so convoluted, it's beyond words. Why should the police department, law enforcement agency, answer to the mayor? Does the mayor know anything about law enforcement? This one sure as hell doesn't. The Philadelphia police should answer to the district attorney's office. They should be partners in crime. They should be partners in fighting crime. They should be working together, sharing information, have the camaraderie they used to have. Today, the police regard the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office as a pitiful, unfunny joke. Believe me, no cop, black or white, is voting for Larry Krasner. Not one. Nobody. His policies are ridiculous and have put you in harm's way. While we're speaking about immigration, if a cop pulls a guy over, he's not committing a crime. They're investigating something, and he didn't do anything. And he's here illegally. Do I expect to call the cops, the immigration people on that guy? No. We're not here to solve all the problems of the world. We got to solve the big ones, getting shot. So illegal aliens, just because they're here, I'm not bothering them. Same thing with marijuana. Hey, the problem with marijuana is what we're teaching our kids. Making it cool, making it okay, decriminalizing it. The problem is most people watching this right now don't understand at what age kids are starting to smoke it, at what age kids are doing hard drugs, at what age kids are picking up guns and using them. This is not an 18-year-old crime anymore. It's a 12 and 13-year-old crime. But I'll try to stay on the subject of marijuana. If you have marijuana on you and you're not committing another crime, and the sole reason you're detained is for marijuana, I don't care about that case. I've got to concentrate on what's important. So if you're smoking marijuana out in the park, if you're smoking marijuana in your house, have a ball. You want to have that kind of ambition? I'm not here to debate that. But if you're across the street from a schoolyard, where little kids are playing and you hear those high-pitched voices run around playing tag, and you have a jackass sitting on the steps, 20 yards away, smoking pot, getting all obliviated in front of kids, I'm going to lock you up and I'm going to prosecute you for being an idiot. Let's make that a misdemeanor, being an idiot of the second degree. Now let's talk about hiring in the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. What a joke this has been. First of all, if somebody commits a crime and I prosecute them, I play to win. I play to win. Not just go through the motions and then after you lose, you say to the press, well, we tried our best. We made our arguments to the judge and the judge didn't buy them. Or some other excuse, always pass an excuse after excuse after excuse. Well, we asked for $1 million bail, but the judge gave him $1. There are methods of enforcing what you want to do. Use them. Stop with the excuses. With hiring, when our DAs are picking a jury, I want them to be from Philadelphia, not from Boston, not from Wyoming, not from Harvard, not from Yale. Temple, Drexel, Widener, Villanova, right here, right here. We have the cream of the crop law schools right in our backyard. Why can't we hire from there? Why can't we hire kids from Philadelphia to be in the district attorney's office so they know the neighborhoods? They know you don't want this juror for this type of case. And if you don't think that's important, sorry, it is. I want people to know this city inside and out so they know where the crime areas are, so they know what needs the most attention, what needs the most help. the bias of those neighborhoods, the feelings of those neighborhoods. If you don't know anything about the port, you're not qualified to be the DA, because people in the port are different than the people in West Philadelphia. You got to know that. The district attorneys we have now, oh my God, it's not their fault. They're a fish out of water. They don't know anybody here. They don't know. They don't know. Black Lives Matter. And by the way, before I get into that, I can't raise the money that Larry Krasner's raising. So I'm doing this on a shoestring. But I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him, and I'm going to shock the world. Just because I'm running as a Republican with a 7-to-1 voter edge, they say. Don't believe everything you read with these polls. The reason I bring that up is because if I had a high budget here, I'd have a glass of water right here because I'm dying. But I'll continue. Black Lives Matter. This is an important concept. This is a situation that white people just don't understand. And if they were educated and made to understand, we'd all be better off. Black Lives Matter does not mean white lives don't matter. These people have been shit on for hundreds of years. They want their place at the table. Why do we have to make it so difficult to understand that? Why? This isn't about endorsements over here or the black clergy going with this candidate or your political party here. This is about understanding. It's about understanding people, their gripes, and what they're trying to tell you. We know that white lives matter. Why is it so difficult to understand that black lives matter? These people are fed up. Before cameras, cops going in, giving somebody a balayage. If you don't know what a balayage is, I'll explain it. Balayage is a beating. They're getting beat. They're getting sticks broken over their head. And the old police department, they got away with it. No more. No more. This is going to be a new day. We're going to have a new partnership with our citizens because it's our citizens that are paying our salaries, and it's our citizens that we are here to protect and serve. I listen to them. After 40 years of practicing law, I know a thing or two. I know what's bothering them. If I lose white votes over this, then I lose them. This is about being equal and giving everyone a fair opportunity. This isn't about favoring blacks or favoring whites. It's about justice for all. Everybody equal. Same playing field. However, if you want to have peaceful protests, then make them peaceful. If you want to have protests over George Floyd or anybody else of significance, burglarizing Models has nothing to do with a peaceful protest. When the district attorney sends out letters concerning a case where a guy burglarizes Models and he walks out with so many sneakers that he can't even see where he's walking. And that case, which is a burglary, gets dropped because it occurred during a period of civil unrest. Bite me. That's not civil unrest. That's not protest. That's burglary. That's a felony of the second degree. He's going to bite it. Getting prosecuted under me. I don't want to hear about civil unrest. Pushing a cop pushing back. Okay. Spitting on a cop. Throwing urine on a cop. And you don't get prosecuted? Yes, you will. Yes, you will. It's about respect. And respect goes both ways. Both ways. It's going to be a new day. If the protesters don't want to respect the police, they're going to get locked up because that's not protest. That's crime. If the police want to break heads just because they showed up for a protest, they're getting locked up because you have a right to assembly. You have a right to protest. They have a right to be heard. This is a new day. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a restricted amount of resources in a Philadelphia District Attorney's office, and you got to use them where you're going to be the most effective. I want to assemble with the Board of Judges. I want to have a meeting and sit down with them. If you want to do this with smaller crimes, these crimes over here, in the beginning, I'm going to have to overlook it because you have to have priorities when you have an epidemic like this. So, car break-ins, spray painting the walls. If the judges want to throw those cases out, I can't get too upset about it yet. I will, not yet, because I want to create an elite team of prosecutors and former prosecutors who were fired to prosecute these gun and shooting cases. When you leave your house with a gun and you don't have a permit, and there's no good reason to carry it, and honestly, I can't think of one because you're breaking the law automatically, you're going to get 2 years in jail. 2 years in jail on a first offense just for walking out your door with a loaded gun. Because a loaded gun makes it easier for a homicide or a shooting. So I'm going to nip it in the bud. People might say, well, that's kind of onerous. I mean, that's really bad. You're going to start out at 2 years. We will have a committee of seasoned prosecutors to review these cases. And defense lawyers can come in if they want with their client and explain their circumstances. And we could vary 6 months down, a year down, 6 months up, a year up. We'll listen. We're not going to have hard and fast rules to where we're going to be so callous. But nobody's getting probation. You walk out of your house with a gun. 95% of those cases are going to get 2 years on a first offense and 5 on a second. Because I don't want guns on our street. Everybody suffers. When we have high crime and you're not safe, nobody wants to come into the city to patronize our broken restaurants and our broken businesses. You pay and you earn and you finally own a home. And the home isn't going up in value because nobody wants to buy it because you got bullets whizzing by. That's not going to happen. Everybody's going to enjoy law and order. I want you to be safe. I want people to come back into our city. I want the people to buy our homes. I want people to respect our businesses, patronize them. We all flourish that way. The more money business makes, the less money you're going to pay in taxes for your house. Nobody thinks about that. Let's work together and bring Philadelphia back because it's easier than you think. But when you don't have leadership, it's impossible. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Obviously, you've seen this on my website because I can't afford an ad like this. I can't afford an infomercial. But I hope you at least consider me for DA because my heart is in the right place. I'm 65 years old. I'm not doing this so I could get my name around. I'm not doing this so I could run for higher office later on. I'm doing this because I love Philadelphia. I live here. I work here. I just love this city. I love downtown. I love the neighborhoods. I was born and raised in West Philadelphia, 64th and Jefferson. I was born in a mixed neighborhood. I loved it. Ironically enough, the kid I hung out with every day was Michael Jackson. He didn't sing, but he played hoops. I'm from this area. I love it. Don't let anybody else destroy it with their liberal attitude. Please, it's about guns and bullets. I ask for your support. One term, and then I'm it. That's it. I retire. Goodbye. Thank you.